Hello. Let's talk about data organization today. In our laboratory, we would generate numerous kinds of data. For example, the data would include your experimental measurement, or your planning, or it can be your proposal, or it can be your report, or the result of your analysis. It can be the handy calculation, or it can be the result from Abacus or from your own program. The reason that we have to build up a systematic data structure is very clear. For example, especially if you want to collaborate with other people, and then often if you want to share your files or result with your collaborators, then you need to have the same format of the data communication. That's why it is very important. And then this is also true even for you. Let's say you want to look up your data like 10 years after your first initiation or first your thinking, then it is almost impossible to find out exact data that you want without having a systematic data arrangement. Okay, so in this screen, so I showed you a typical structure of my data. So if you look up my hard drive, then you can find exactly same name of the folders. So I visualize the names of folders that I'm using here. For example, so I have other folders, but if I provide you the important names of folders, first one is the references. So I keep all kinds of references here, and then I use these references for my research too. And then I will upload another YouTube clip to how to handle these references when you're paper writing later. But today in this folder, I'd like to say that in these reference folders, so I have most of the data, most of references are stored in the form of PDF files, and then the file names follows the rules for the reference names. So I will explain you later in another YouTube clip. And the second one is the proposal. So we keep all kinds of proposals. So if you click these proposal folders, and then these proposals are further arranged by the names of the funding agencies. For example, 에너지기술평가원 or 연구재단, blah blah blah. Okay, and then the proposals are further and then named by the years of our proposal writing. The third one is this is the most important one, projects, the projects folders. In the projects folders, if you open the project folders, then I can see the various project names. For example, Confloat or FRPSIT or integrated analysis, the pre-piling, for example. So before we start a new research project, the project name, I call it the code name. The code name should be given by your advisor, or I mean by me. So please, after getting my permission from me, and then we share the same project name for further research activities. And below the project name, so we have very canonical, very systematic the folder arrangements. For example, we have the presentations, the papers, and the codes, and the experiment. And then in these folders, we keep the specific files, all kinds of individual files. And then later we can very easily find out where we can later we can very easily recognize where we can find the individual files in these corresponding folders. So for example, so let me show you the naming convention here, naming convention. And then for example, let's say when I work for a research project with the name of frpsheet dot the Excel file basically, and then after some modification, then I'd like to update these Excel files with new name. So in the case of my students, some of my students still, after I'm telling you them the numerous times, maybe more than 100 times if I exaggerate, but they still use FRP sheet final, FRP sheet real final, FRP sheet real final. Oh, it is almost impossible later. How can you figure out which one is the final version? So don't do that. So we have a more systematic way to do. Instead of putting the real or finals, intermediate, then we have better way. say, for example, so here, so you modified something, and then uh, please uh, copy your old files and put number one here, and then your new files would use the same name as before. Okay, and then later if you modify it again, and then you copy this file and then put index 2, but look at this here, the file name with index 1 is never changed. Okay, you keep as is, and then this file is indexed by 2 here in sequential order, and then the file with the new information still keep the same name. And then okay, let's imagine that you did it again, then you keep uh, the file name with index 1 and the index 2, no, without any change, and then this file is changed, is now put with index 3 here, and then the most recent file is kept its name. That's how you can recognize very easily which one is the final version. And even when you communicate your files with other people, please follow these rules. And that's how we can save our attention, and then we can find out we can save our time and labor to find out the correct the version of the file. So for example, let me show you my one of my folder here. So this is a folder for the research project, the CIWS Close-in Weapon System, that was funded by the LIG Next One in 2020. If you look at the folder name here on the top of the screen, then it say that 2020 CIWS2. Okay, this is the code name for this project. And then below this project name folder, we have 보고서, because I worked with Korean students at the time. That's why I put the 보고서. In this 보고서 folder, so I have many files here. Look at this. For example, CIWS2 보고서, that was given by my students Eugenie, and she did it this way, and I didn't allow that. Instead of that, I'm using this index system. So LIG Next One, this is the very first version of the research project, the report. And then as we modify, as we update, and then the version number is increases to 10 here. And but here we see that, you know, a file without having this index number. That's how we can recognize that this file LIG Next One, this is the final version of the report. Okay, that's how you can save your time. All right. And then there's another tip. For example, actually saving your time is really crucial. Otherwise, if you want to generate new files whenever you have new research project, this is a waste of time. That's why I recommend you to guys use templates. Okay, so we in our laboratory we have many different kinds of templates generated by myself, and then also my former students. So you can save your time by using these template files. Do not waste your time to generate to determine the new format. And in that sense, the LaTeX is very important. We can save our time, and we can write up in a really systematic way. So I uploaded another YouTube clips for the use of LaTeX. Okay, thank you.